Hey guys, Michael Keane here. This week I had a video go up on Screen Rant all about the problems with Superman, to which the response in the comments was mostly negative. Part of that negativity stems from my various criticisms of the film, which led to a lot of commenters to believe I hated the movie or was some kind of Snyder fanboy. The truth is, while I do enjoy some Snyder films, including Man of Steel, I actually prefer James Gunn's version of the character. In fact, I think the 2025 iteration of Superman is pretty good. That said, I do stand by my criticisms of the film, so let me just delve through those real quick and give a little more context. Spoilers inbound, by the way. First things first, just to get it out of the way, I am paid to list off problems with movies. I'm not a terribly critical film watcher, so this can be a little difficult for me. It means I've got to really emphasize negative aspects to these movies that aren't necessarily big issues or anything. In fact, they're mostly pretty negligible. But since I have to talk about them, well, that's what the videos end up being about. Point being, I rarely dislike the movies I write about, even if it seems like I'm nitpicking them to death. Hell, I thought Jurassic World Rebirth was really good. I'm just not that critical. Anywho, on to the movie itself. My first complaint was that it's overstuffed, which I think is pretty universally agreed upon. There's just a lot happening in this movie, from Lex's plan with two warring countries, to the pocket dimension stuff, to Lois and Clark's relationship and everything happening at the Daily Planet, and with the Justice Gang. It's a whole bunch of characters doing a whole bunch of stuff, and that I feel like is the biggest issue with Superman. That said, I don't think it's a deal breaker or anything. It's just a bit messy, which has never and will never be a reason for me to dismiss a film. I I think I mentioned this in a video that I'm working on right now that I'm editing, but I'm a Jess Franco fan. If your movie's a little all over the place, whoop-de-doo. My second point, and perhaps the most disagreed with, was that I thought the whole movie was a bit emotionless, and maybe that's not the right word. Watching Superman, I felt like there was a disconnect between the emotional aspects being presented and where they landed with the audience. Obviously, plenty of other people found the film super emotional, so that audience is really more a subsection of the audience that happens to include me, which I guess is where most art criticisms fall, actually. Anyway, it just seems to me that the emotional center of the film lies with the Kents, seeing as Soup's parentage is such a major element. Because they're played for laughs, it makes the moment between Pa Kent and Clark ring hollow, and thereby undermines the emotional arc that Soups goes on. However, like with the overstuffed thing, I don't think this emotional disconnect is all that big of a deal. It's certainly a flaw, and one I would have liked to have seen fixed, but like with all my issues, it doesn't stop Superman from being a pretty good film. I'd even go so far as to say plenty of the emotional beats do work, just not as well as they could have. The other issue with them is how the film just kind of drops us into events, a criticism which some people took as me wanting an origin film, but that's definitely not the case. I have zero interest in another Soup's origin story. I do, however, think that there could have been better build-up in the beginning, and since the film is already pretty short for a superhero flick, I don't think an extra 15 minutes at the top would have hurt the pacing. That said, you'd also have to rewrite the movie to make such a thing work, so I'm by no means suggesting Gunn needed to just plop on a few scenes at the top. That said, one thing I wouldn't have minded was a brief scene of Kal-El arriving on Earth, just to introduce the Kents. This could have also introduced the idea of a world with metahumans. I mean, I don't know, maybe they're watching TV or something. And then we could have cut to however many years later with Superman fully established, perhaps even with the opening falling into the Arctic moment. That said, there's a million ways to do this right, and I just don't think Gunn went with any of them. The rest of my issues are pretty negligible. The visuals are a bit lackluster for James Gunn, but again, nothing there is bad, just not as spectacular as I've come to expect from the man himself. Some of the hero shots feel as if they're trying to make up for less composed shots earlier on, which is a shame. I also brought up the politics angle and how the war in the film is obviously a simplified version of Israel and Palestine. I stand by that, but it didn't really bother me so much as briefly take me out of the movie. It's a cartoonish version of the conflict, and that makes sense given the cartoonish nature of the film itself. I don't love that Lex was behind it all, as that brings up a lot of questions about the geopolitics of this world that I don't think it's ready to answer. But again, it's a silly movie, so I'm content with it presenting a real-world analogy in a silly way. Speaking of which, I mentioned that the whole film is a bit cartoonish at times, but that really just comes down to a couple of examples of humor sidestepping solid dramatic moments. It's something I think people expected to happen more, what with James Gunn writing the script and all that, but it's really just Ma Kent being an old Kansas lady stereotype and Crypto beating up Lex at the end. Outside of those examples, I can't recall that issue rearing its head at really any other points. I could be forgetting, though, because a lot happens in this movie. Truth is, I enjoyed myself for the whole film. It's a solid 3.5 stars out of 5, and if you watch my Screen Rant video to the very end, you'll see me explain that I liked Superman despite its flaws. I don't know what it is about YouTube comments, but the second you say anything negative about a movie, even if you liked it, they come for your fucking throat. It's nasty.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
I enjoyed the cartoonishness and Silver Age sensibilities, and I liked all of the actors, even if, again, Ma Kent is kind of a grating caricature. David Corenswet pulls off Superman with all the gravitas one could hope for, and I'm excited to see what the future has in store for Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Dude was unhinged, and I love that. Oh, and of course, there's Nathan Fillion, Eddie Gathegi, Isabella Merced screaming like a banshee, and probably some other actors I'm forgetting who absolutely nailed their roles. What's his face as Jimmy Olsen, the guy from Righteous Gemstones. Forgetting his name. This guy. I love that Jimmy just pulls. That's great. I'm excited to see more of all of them. But beyond all of that, I'm most excited for where James Gunn is taking his version of the DC universe. I love James Gunn, and I'm so glad to see him receiving such incredible success. There is a part of me that wishes he had gone back to his roots and started directing more original material, but I'll take him heading up one of the biggest franchises in modern history as a consolation prize. Do what you gotta do, bro. So yeah, I've linked the Screen Rant video into the video description, so check that out if you'd like more thoughts of mine on Superman. I just wanted to clarify a few points and make it clear that I did in fact really like this movie. It's just flawed, and I don't think that's a terribly controversial stance to take. Anywho, thanks for watching, and until next time, go watch a movie!
It's gonna take me some time to give you all that is mine. I'm looking ultra fine.